We'll be going over IRS Notice CP09. This is a notice that you might receive from the Internal Revenue Service if you appear to be eligible for the Earned Income Credit, but did not claim it on your tax return. So we'll go over this notice. We'll start with the upper right-hand corner, and then we're just going to walk through each part step by step so that you can clearly understand what this is. And if you need help with respect to the Earned Income Credit, we'll put links to additional resources in our show notes so that you can learn a little bit more about the Earned Income Credit and how to claim it on future tax returns. So let's go ahead and start with the upper right-hand corner. You'll see this IRS notice number CP09 for the tax year 2018. The notice date, July 1st, 2019, with your social security number and a contact phone number. Over here to the left-hand side, you'll see the taxpayer name and address fields. And I'm going to take a moment to point out two things that I think are important. So the first is you should always keep your address up to date with the Internal Revenue Service. Most people do that normally by filing their tax return on time every year. And if you have moved and you file your tax return with the new address information, then the IRS should automatically update your tax account accordingly with the new address. However, if you moved after filing your most recent tax return, then there's a chance that you won't receive correspondence such as this in a timely manner until your next tax return. So you may consider filing IRS Form 8822, which is the official change of address form. The reason I point this out is because of the second point, which is paying close attention to the notice date. There are a lot of times when the IRS might issue a notice, particularly if they appear to be starting the collections process, and there may be steps that they direct you to do or request that you take that are tied to the notice date. So you might see something like, please respond by within 30 days of receiving this notice. Please submit this supporting documentation within 60 days of the notice, so on and so forth. Well, if you don't have an up-to-date address and your notice spends weeks trying to get to your new address, then that decreases the amount of time that you have available to respond. Also, most people don't want their tax information floating around where, especially in the mail, where someone could possibly use it for inappropriate purposes. So do yourself a favor, keep your address up to date, and then pay attention to your notice dates. So as I mentioned, this notice is about the Earned Income Credit. In this example, the taxpayer is being notified that they could be eligible to a refund of up to $6,431. The IRS determined this based on a review of their tax return where the taxpayer did not claim it. So that's the summary of this, and there's going to be additional documentation that you may need to complete. So let's take a look at what the next steps look like. So there's an Earned Income Credit worksheet. If the worksheet confirms that you're eligible, you'll sign and date the worksheet and mail it in the enclosed envelope. If the worksheet says you're not eligible for the credit, then you wouldn't return the worksheet to the IRS. And then there's a slip that you can notify the IRS if you want to put down phone number information. If you've changed your address, you can update your information with the IRS. So if you've completed the worksheet and you send it to the IRS, they should send you a refund check within 6 to 8 weeks, as long as your taxes aren't being used to pay off other debt. If the IRS does not If they refuse to give you the credit, then they'll explain to you why. So when you file your next year's Form 1040, you'll claim the credit if you're still eligible, and you'll write no on the EIC line if you don't want the credit or if you don't qualify. You can request the IRS to calculate the credit for you by writing EIC on the EIC line. You can complete schedule EIC and attach it to your return. And then if you qualify, the IRS will calculate it for you. There are some additional resources specifically on Form 1040 and the EIC. We'll come back to this link later on, but there's a couple of pages I'd like to visit first. So this is the Earned Income Credit Worksheet that the IRS has provided. Step one basically is you ascertaining certain information fields. So box 1 says that you or your spouse and you have lived in the United States for 6 months or less. So if that applies, then check that box. If you did not have earned income, or if you have excess investment income, then you would check this box. If you can be claimed as a dependent, you would check the third box. If you have a Social Security card that reads not valid for employment and it was only issued so that either you or your spouse could receive a federal benefit like Medicaid, you would check the fourth box. And then you would check the final box if you or your spouse is a qualifying child of another person for their earned income credit. So all of these are reasons why you would not qualify for that tax credit. If you have to check any of these boxes, then you do not need to complete the worksheet. Now, there's a note up here for military personnel stationed outside the United States on active duty orders. They're considered to be living in the United States for that period. So if you were stationed in Japan or in Germany or overseas, and you lived in the United States for 6 months or less during the tax year because you were stationed overseas, that's not what the IRS means. The IRS means specifically taxpayers who are not stationed overseas but are living overseas anyway. So if you're eligible, you would go to step 2, where you would provide information for up to 3 spouses. The IRS says no more than 3 spouses because the earned income credit does not change for 3 or more spouses. So as long as you have 3 valid dependents, it does not matter if you put in 3 or 4. The IRS is going to ask you to put in 3. So again, you would put in information for dependent 1 based on whether or not they lived with you in the United States for more than 6 months, if they meet the age criteria, and if they are younger than you or your spouse. Those are pretty much the criteria for being able to claim a dependent. And then in step 3, you're going to basically make a determination whether or not one or more of your dependents either meets or does not meet the criteria. So if you answered yes to all of those questions in each section, then you're able to claim that person as a dependent. And if you answered no, then you cannot. So if you can claim at least one dependent, you might be eligible for the credit. If your no dependents meet the criteria, then you will not be able to take the credit on behalf of a qualifying child. However, you may be eligible for an earned income credit without a qualifying child, and you can go to step 4 if you're between the ages of 25 and 65. If you cannot be claimed as a dependent, you're not an EIC qualifying child, and if you've lived in the United States for more than half of the year. In that case, you would sign. If you're filing filing jointly, your spouse would sign. You would date it and then enter a phone number that the IRS can reach you at. So that's how you would complete this worksheet that should be in your enclosed in your notice. Let's take a look at this website just to make sure that we covered everything. So we talked about the earned income credit worksheet. So you can either mail it, or if you have access to the documentation upload tool for your IRS account, you can use that as well. So, and then there's some frequently asked questions, some tips, and some other resources. So that's all we have for this CP notice. Again, CP09 discusses the earned income credit. So we'll put links in the show notes to some of the resources that might fit you as you're navigating this form. So if you like our articles, please feel free to subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see discussed in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.